Obsession, not starring Beyonce or Idris Elba. So Obsession is a new horror movie I've been hearing some great buzz about, and I'm glad I went into it not knowing much, because I think approaching this movie without knowing much about how the plot unfolds is really how you start to really appreciate the escalation of it, because this movie was a horrific vibe for days. I really enjoyed it. It was about this guy who's played by Michael Johnson. He's essentially really crushing on this girl that he's known for a while, and the girl's played by Ine Navarrete, and she is incredible in this movie, and we'll get into her. But the basic premise of it is that essentially, at a point, this guy just really wants this girl to like him, and then she starts really liking him. But I won't spoil why or why that is, because I think the mystery of going into this and exploring how it unfolds and why this girl starts obsessing over him is so fascinating and really fun to just keep in mystery as you're watching it. The movie is really straight and to the point. You get introduced to the two characters, they get to know each other a bit, they have known each other for a while in terms of at least prehistory before the characters are talking in the movie. The guy's really wishing for her to like him, and then when he drops her off, she really starts liking him. It's really fun because you as an audience member has an idea why this is happening. But the tension is actually watching these characters who don't fully know what's happening to them deal with it. Like, that's where the horrific nature of this movie comes in. Obsession had such a great handle on tension. It's so good at just making you feel skeevy and uncomfortable, but out of natural dialogue and conversation, like a way a conversation just kind of escalate, especially with the character of Nikki played by Ine Navarrete. She is probably the best performance I've seen this year so far. She is terrifying, and it's all really naturalistic too. Like, this movie's not really a super scary, spooky, mummified film, kind of like The Mummy, where it's like gory and gross. Not body horror shock value. This movie's all about building up the tension, winding up the anticipation of what might happen, and also the horror of just knowing someone is in this certain situation. I'm trying to keep it vague because I think this movie does a really good job at guiding you along as an audience and trying to figure out what's going on with this character. Ine Navarrete is so good at subverting your expectations and what you expect from her, going from this terrifying presence at times to someone who can have so much sympathy so quick, and you really feel bad for her at moments. As soon as you figure out which eyesight we're actually following and why, it becomes that much more chilling. Obsession is a movie that, like, the more you think about it, the creepier and more gross it gets. The movie really relishes in the silence. That's where the horror comes in. There's so many moments where there's just a still shot on a character and they're doing something kind of creepy, and you're trying to figure out why. And as you're watching the scene escalate, it just doesn't let you off the scene. The camera would just hold there, and it's really good at building that suspense. It doesn't feel like a cheap jump scare either. I appreciate that there's so many moments in this movie that show restraint, where you think it's gonna build some kind of bullshit jump scare, or some kind of loud yelp, and it doesn't. It actually is all the more creepier for it. To mention body horror, but it's not body horror in the sense of gore-esque body horror. It's more in the sense of like, oh, this is a weird sense of lack of autonomy in how this person moves their body. And it adds to the theme of the movie without giving too much away, but it does a really good job at being unsettling in that. I'm surprised at how much I'm actually trying to keep my thoughts on this movie vague and tell you it's good, but without spoiling it, because I actually don't know what the trailer showed. But if you go in not seeing any of the trailers, I think you're all the much better for it. Michael Johnson was also excellent. He's another character we follow throughout this story, and his character really just hammers home that tragic nature of desperation, and like the grosser side of desperation that you see. It's fascinating to see with this character. What I also love about Obsession is that it doesn't overstay its welcome, and it also does not over-explain itself, and it does exactly what it needs to be with its mystery element. A lot of movies can kind of overblow their load by showing you too much of a peek behind the curtain of what's going on. I thought this movie had a perfect balance of mystery, intrigue, filling you in on how something works and rules-wise, without giving too much away and ruining the suspense. Because the movie doesn't get so bogged down with explaining what's happening, you can actually spend more time hammering it home, living with how the characters are actually affected by what's happening. It uses to sit in the character experience to make it feel that much more lived in and scarily real. I thought Obsession had so much to say about autonomy, desperation, incel culture. For nothing else, I thought the ending was perfect. Like, it ended exactly where I thought it needed to, exactly where I thought needed the characters to go. The ending just kind of had me sitting there silent, like, man, seems fucked up. No qualms on the pacing either. I thought it was perfect in terms of just getting to the point. Obsession is simple, concise, effective, horrific, and has a lot to say. I really loved it. This movie and the drama are certainly ones that are going to stick with me throughout the year of 2026. What did you guys think of Obsession? Did you enjoy it? What is your favorite movie to come out this year so far, especially in the horror category? Thank you so much for watching Scatterbrain Reviews. Come talk about movies with us. Come talk about stories with us. Leave a like, leave a comment. I'll see you next time.